Hey everybody, this is Ronan Dave. I'm just coming at you from my home in Tennessee. Just the other day I saw Hillary Clinton give a speech up in Nashville at Fisk University, a famous historical black university. I'm more of a Sanders fan myself, but I'm not so opposed to the idea of a Hillary presidency, especially when you look at her Republican opposition at the moment. I will say this: she does give a good speech. She's ballsy, and whether you like her or not, she does have polish, and she's someone I could trust more to speak with other world leaders, more so than, say, Trump, Carson, Cruz. She does have clout and experience, being First Lady, a Senator, and Secretary of State. So anyway, this is her speech pretty much entirety. A couple times my arms got a little bit tired. For Hillary fans, enjoy. For Sanders fans, don't get too angry, because she might end up being the Democrat nominee, and I'd much rather have her than any of the Republicans.
To remember me, to Lord, to remember me, to Lord, to remember me, oh, to Lord, remember me.
That morning wake up underneath the blanket of blue sky, kiss you.
As student body president here at Fisk University, I have prepared a great many of speeches for events, but none have prepared me for such a momentous occasion, such as tonight. University President Frank Sims, unfortunately, cannot be here with us this afternoon, but he sends his warmest welcome. On behalf of the Fisk University Board of Trustees, student body, faculty, staff, administration, and alumni, welcome to the illustrious Fisk University. Of our 150th anniversary. This celebration alone serves as proof that historically black colleges and universities are important to this nation and continually produce some of the world's greatest scholars and leaders. What a time to be alive. I am proud to know that the Honorable Hillary Clinton recognizes the power and potential of HBCUs and has developed a detailed plan to protect and promote them. We look forward and will watch her efforts to protect our institutions and the diverse students who matriculate through them. As a former college professor, First Lady of the Nation, Senator, and Secretary of State, there is no doubt in my mind that Hillary Clinton possesses one of the few great visions in this election and is poised to move the nation forward. Once again, Fisk University welcomes you, and may God bless you, and God bless these United States of America.
Secretary Clinton back to Nashville. You know, we know how important the federal government is and the crucial role that they play in urban cities. And I know that Hillary Clinton will be a president who gets it. She is someone who knows how important it is that cities are critical to our nation's economy and how important it is for cities and governments to work together. If we want to expand our pre-K program, Hillary Clinton gets it. That's why she has proposed that all 4-year-olds in America should have high-quality pre-K in the next 10 years, and she's committed to helping find the funds to do it. If we want to keep the full range of funding sources that allow us to create more affordable housing in Nashville, the person sitting in the Oval Office has to get it, and that's Hillary Clinton. In our city, we need a president who gets it. Hillary Clinton believing that America pleasure to have her here in this town, and I get to say today, welcome, Hillary, to Nashville.
Who's going to vote for one of those crazy Republicans? Donald Trump gives me a break. It's like a constant break. Madam Secretary, we know you love spicy food, and Nashville is the capital of hot chicken. The next president of the United States, Hillary
I am thrilled to be on the campus of this great university. I want to thank your Congressman. Congressman Cooper is one of the hardest working, smartest members of the entire Congress. And he goes to Washington, regretfully ever leaving Nashville, to advocate on your behalf. And I am so proud to have him as my supporter, and I can't wait to work with him as a partner to make sure we do what we can to give everybody here in Tennessee and across America the best chance to make the most out of your own God-given potential in America. I was over in Memphis, which is a little closer to Arkansas, about how many important historical moments can trace their origins or their impact to this university. It is a real honor for me to be here, and I want to thank President Frank Sims for welcoming me here. This university has a long and proud history. It is the alma mater of some very dear friends of mine and some incredibly distinguished Americans, including the one and only Congressman John Lewis. So being here really does, as Congressman Cooper said, bring us into history together. You know, I feel so fortunate to have had the opportunity to be born and raised in this country. I am so blessed, as so many of us are, to have enjoyed the fruits of the labor of so many who came before us. We are by no means perfect, but we are the greatest nation in the history of the world. But that is not to be taken for granted, my friends. That has to be earned every year and every generation. And I'm thrilled to see so many young people here tonight, and I want to give a shout out to the folks who are outdoors in the overflow crowd. I appreciate them standing outside. I went by to see them. Because I want to just make a few points that really give you a sense of why I believe this is one of the most consequential elections we've ever had. Now I want to start with how far we have come in the last years to recover from the worst financial crisis since the Great Depression. You know, after the 2008 election, President-elect Obama called me and asked me to come see him in Chicago. I didn't know why. It turned out he wanted me to be Secretary of State. But before we got into that, it was just the two of us talking, and he says to me, "It's so much worse than they told us." And it was. We were on the brink of not just a great recession, but a great depression. And this is not ancient history because the Republicans are running to try to impose the same economic policies that led us to that terrible moment. 9 million Americans lost their jobs. 5 million lost their homes. $13 trillion in family wealth disappeared because of the bad stewardship and decision-making of the prior Republican administration. Now, my Republican friends don't like it when I say this, but our economy does so much better when we have a Democrat in. Let's just go back the last 35 years. We've had 5 presidents, 3 Republicans, 2 Democrats. I happen to know both the Democrats pretty well. And I can tell you that when my husband took office, the deficit was much bigger than it was supposed to have been. He said the same thing. It's so much worse than they told us. But he got to work. At the end of 8 years, we had 23 million new jobs. Everybody's income went up. The top, the middle, working folks, and the poor, everybody benefited, and we ended up with a balanced budget and a surplus. But you know what happened next. The new Republican administration just set about to dismantle that literally brick by brick by brick. And what happened? Well, we got attacked on 9/11. We had 2 wars. The president cut taxes dramatically twice. Took their eye off the financial markets and the mortgage markets. And we fell into this financial abyss. Now, it could have been a lot worse. And I don't think President Obama gets the credit he deserves for leaving us out. I don't understand all of this negativity toward the president. I hear it. And on the economic front, what I hear the Republicans saying is, well, this is the slowest recovery in history. You gotta just scratch your head on that one. Yeah. We wouldn't have needed a recovery if they hadn't wrecked the economy. So now we've recovered 13 million jobs. We are standing, but we're not yet running yet. We have work to do. I want to build on what's been accomplished, but I want to go further. The centerpiece of my economic plan is to raise incomes for hard-working, middle-class families so you can get ahead again. That starts with raising the minimum wage because nobody who works full-time should be living in poverty at the end of the year. We're also going to have to close those loopholes and take away those deductions and get the wealthy to pay their fair share because it's not right that the debt is stacked in their favor. But therefore, we've got to create some new jobs. And there are a couple of things we need to be doing anyway. We need to be building and maintaining our roads, our bridges, our tunnels, our airports, our ports, our rail systems. And we need to finally provide high-quality internet connectivity to everybody at an affordable price throughout the country. I also want to combat climate change. For the life of me, I don't understand it when you ask some of the Republicans, well, what about climate change? And you know what they say? They say, well, I'm not a scientist. Well, they could talk to some. There are some right here at Fisk. They could talk to them. renewable energy. I set 2 big goals. By the end of my first term, we're going to have installed 500 million more solar panels, and by the end of the second, enough clean power to absolutely run every house in America. I also want to be the small business president because, you know, most small businesses are the creators of most jobs in our country. And we need to do more to help them get started and be successful. And then if you want to know what the quickest, easiest way to raise incomes would be, I'll tell you. It's guaranteeing equal pay for equal work. We also should try to make it a little bit less difficult to be a working parent. And so I think we should be working toward paid family leave. Something that will give more families a peace of mind and the opportunity to take care of not just a new baby, but a sick family member or an aging parent. Now when I talk like this, you know, the Republicans, they sometimes accuse me of playing the gender card. Yeah, they do. You know, my response to that is, if advocating for equal pay for equal work is playing the gender card, deal me in. In order to have a competitive economy that's going to create more good-paying jobs with rising incomes, we got to make sure that our education system is preparing people, not just young people, but people who mid-career need to go back and improve their skills. I think that starts with early childhood education. 0 to 5 is the beginning of how well a person can learn going forward. So that's why I'm for early childhood education, universal pre-kindergarten. It's not because I'm a new grandmother, but I'm sure that has something to do with it. It's because I've worked in this field for a very long time. And you know, 80% of your brain is physically formed by the age of 3. And so, if a child doesn't get the same opportunities as we try to give to our granddaughter, and that child can be just as smart, because I think talent is universal, but opportunity is not. And that child gets to kindergarten and is already behind, then it's going to be harder for that young boy or girl to fulfill that potential. And on the other end, we've got to make college affordable. How many of you here have student debt? That's a pretty big majority, isn't it? Well, it's too much. I want you to be able to refinance your debt, to get the interest rates down, to have a definite period when you no longer have to keep paying off gas. You know, if you can refinance your home or your car, you ought to be able to refinance one of the biggest obligations you'll ever have, which is mainly paying for your education so you can get ahead. I want to make community college free. We can do that. I want to make tuition debt-free, so you don't have to borrow money to go to a 4-year public college or university. And I have a special program to put more money into historically black colleges. You know, universities like this and others in our country produce more black professionals, more doctors, more lawyers, more business leaders, and we want to do more for you to keep doing that. So that's why. And I will defend the Affordable Care Act. We finally have a system that's helped 18 million people get access to health care. And in those states where it's working because the governors, unlike here, have extended Medicaid, hundreds of thousands of people are no longer going to the emergency room as their primary physician. You know, those of us who had health insurance, I want you just to think for a minute what it's like to have a child or yourself with something not right. You can't afford to go see about it until it gets so bad you end up in the emergency room. And that's what happens if people don't have some way through insurance to pay for what they need. I want to defend the Affordable Care Act, but I want to try to persuade governors like the governor here to extend Medicaid. To give working people a chance to have I don't want to draw any insidious comparisons, but I will say this. Arkansas extended Medicaid. Yeah, they did. Kentucky extended Medicaid. So I'm just saying, Tennessee. It would help a lot of people, hundreds of thousands of folks. Now, we have to improve the Affordable Care Act. It's not enough just to let it sit there. We got to get out-of-pocket expenses down. We have to tackle the rising cost of prescription drugs. It's gotten so bad that last year in Medicare, in just 1 year, the cost of prescription drugs went up 12%. So I have some proposals. For example, our drug companies do so much good for so many, and I salute them and thank them for that. But they are now spending more money on advertising than on research. And you've all seen those TV commercials. You can't avoid them. And they all have a certain look about them. You know, people running through fields of wildflowers. Linked somehow to whatever the drug is that's being sold. And then underneath it, in a very low voice, it's like, you take this, your nose will fall off. Just watch, don't listen. So I don't think they should get a tax break for advertising. How about they get tax breaks for inventing new cures, for saving people's lives? And the other part of this, which makes no sense, you know, all of us who are taxpayers, we pay to support the National Institute of Health, which does great work in partnership with universities and with drug companies in developing new treatments. And then we support the Food and Drug Administration, which does the testing to determine whether something can go to market. And then, after we've made that investment, we end up paying the highest prices for drugs in the world. Because every other advanced economy negotiates for a better deal. You know, when I represented New York, we have that long border with Canada. Every week, people would cross the border to go to a Canadian pharmacy to buy exactly the same drug at a much lower price. So I'm going to fight to make sure that Medicare has the authority to negotiate lower prices for the drugs that our seniors need to use. And there's a lot of work that we have to take on. But in addition, we have to continue to defend fundamental rights that are under attack by the candidates running for president. You know, and I've learned over the years is you really do have to listen to what people say in these campaigns because most of them actually try to do what they say. So when they go after women's rights or gay rights or voting rights, you know, you should listen. I will defend a woman's right to choose and plan to fired on Monday. We've got work to do, my friends. And I will defend voting rights. I thought that battle had ended in 1960. But across our country, there are all kinds of shenanigans going on to try to make it harder for people to vote. I'll give you just one quick little example. I was down in Alabama talking to a bunch of Democrats, and it was right after the governor made the decision close the motor vehicle offices in the majority black counties in Alabama. Now, they had passed a law saying that one of the photo IDs you could use to be able to vote was your driver's license. And then all of a sudden, they closed all of these offices. So I was thinking to myself, you know, the governor said it was for budget reasons. I thought about an old saying that I learned in Arkansas years ago. It's a deep philosophical insight. If you find a turtle on a fence post, it did not get there by accident. So if we start closing motor vehicle offices in the majority black counties, that didn't happen by accident. We are better than that. We have got to stand up for the fundamental right to vote. I want every 18-year-old to be automatically registered. And I'm going to do everything I can to reverse that terrible decision, Citizens United, which opened the doors to billionaires and corporations using unaccountable money to influence elections. I will still fight for comprehensive immigration reform with a path to citizenship that will actually help our economy by getting people out of the shadows so that they have to compete as opposed to being taken advantage of. I will absolutely stand against any efforts to privatize Social Security or to voucherize Medicare or to privatize the Veterans Administration and throw our bets out onto the mercy of the private system without any support. And I will continue to speak out against the gun lobby until we get 33,000 people die every year from gun violence. That's homicides, suicides, and tragic, avoidable gun accidents. That's about 90 people a day. Now, if something else were killing that many Americans, we'd be putting our heads together. The American people are way ahead of the decision makers. 92% of Americans say, hey, we need universal background checks so the guns don't fall into the wrong hands. Listen to this. 83% of gun owners agree with that. No, sensible people who also don't want felons and fugitives and stalkers and the seriously mental ill. And listen to this one. The Congress won't bring up a bill to try to prevent people who are on the no-fly list from being able to buy guns. Now ask yourself, if they're too dangerous to fly, we're going to let them have a gun inside our country after what we see happening around the world? It doesn't add up. So we can defend the rights of gun owners and keep those guns out of the hands of people who should not have them or in effect. And of course, I am paying close attention to what's going on around the world. I spoke yesterday in New York about what I would be advocating in terms of taking on the threat posed by ISIS and other terrorist networks. I take this very seriously. I was a senator from New York on 9/11. I have seen what happens when evil and hatred is unleashed. So I will spare no effort, but let's be smart about it. And what I tried to say yesterday is, yes, we do have to defeat ISIS on the ground, from the air, and online. And that last one is something I particularly want young people to think about because we need your help. They dominate the online space. They use it to recruit, to propagandize, to celebrate violence. And we have to take them on there too. And we have to more closely coordinate with our friends in Europe and elsewhere to try to protect not just ourselves, but our values. But I don't think we should be engaging in the kind of inflammatory rhetoric that I've been hearing from some of the Republican candidates. Part of why we are great already, Mr. Trump, is because we have the most unusual ability to bring people here and turn them into Americans. We do that with such extraordinary success. And, you know, Mr. Trump has attacked Mexican immigrants. He's attacked women. Now he's attacking Muslim Americans. At some point, you got to ask yourself, wait a minute, is that the kind of country we are? We're smarter than that. We know how to protect ourselves. And if you talk to the law enforcement experts like I have about how best to deal with the threat, remember, terrorism is not connected with religion. It is connected with a violent, fanatic fringe that jihadists a homegrown terrorist blew up the federal building in Oklahoma City. We have to be on alert against all of these people. But one of the best ways to do that is to have good sources in communities who will tell you what's going on. That's why it's so important to have respect between our law enforcement and the communities they protect, and that the communities have respect for law enforcement so that we get a better outcome. And that is another reason why we should be focused on criminal justice reform, because we've got to get the balance back right here at home in order to do that, particularly in communities of color. And it's why it's just a true statement, Black Lives Matter, because we've got to make sure that they don't. But I need your help. We got a primary coming up here in Tennessee on March the 1st. If you're not registered to vote, I sure hope you will be. And I will be back here working with the mayor and the congressman and others to see if we can't turn Tennessee blue. JOIN, J-O-I-N, to 47246 to get involved in this campaign. That's JOIN, J-O-I-N, to 47246. And I hope you'll go to HillaryClinton.com and read about what I'm advocating for, what I'm fighting for, what I will do as your president. Because when I think about the future, I want to be sure that all the young people here today have the same kind of opportunities that my husband and I did. We had very different upbringings. You know, his dad died before he was even born, and he had a much tougher time with it. But he had America at his back. My grandfather was a factory worker, came to this country as an immigrant, as a young child. Worked really hard, not just to support his family, but to try to give his sons a better chance, and he did. All three of them went to college. And when my dad graduated, he got a job as a salesman, and then he went into the Navy in World War II. He came out and he started a small business. My mother had a very different experience. She wasn't wanted by her own parents. She was abandoned and rejected and sent to live with grandparents. Turned out they didn't want her either. She was out working as a housemaid by the age of 14. I didn't know this when I was little, but as I learned about it, I remember saying to her, how did you do that? She said, you know, somebody always helped me along the way. A teacher, even the woman she worked for, who knew my mother wanted to go to high school. She said, you know, if you get up early, you get your chores done, you can go to high school, but you have to come back and do the rest of your chores. So for 4 years, that's what my mom did. Got up really early, did everything she had to do, literally ran to high school. She wanted an education so much, and then ran back. You know, I tell you this because every one of us has a story. A lot of these students and graduates of Fisk, a lot of the young people I see here before me, everybody has a story. We have to keep those stories real and alive in America. Now, I have this new granddaughter. You knew I'd get to that, didn't you?
Yeah.
And Bill and I will do everything we can to make sure she has the best possible life. But that's not enough. What really matters what kind of country she's going to become an adult in. And what's waiting out there in the world for her. I don't think you should have to be the granddaughter of a former president to be able to realize the promise of America. I think that promise is absolutely available to the granddaughters and factory workers and the grandsons and truck drivers and everybody else willing to work hard and do your part to get ahead and stay ahead and make a contribution to our country. I'm going to get up every single day in that White House thinking about what I can do to make sure you all have the opportunities you deserve. Thank you.